Good morning, everyone, and welcome. My name is Adarian Broom. I'm the marketing assistant at AffinityPlus. It's great to have you here for our first Smart Youth Leaders Club session in 2025 and our first ever webinar, as we typically host our sessions in person at our Fairchild Street branch. Before we dive in, just a few housekeeping notes to ensure a smooth experience for everyone. I will ask you guys to keep your microphone muted unless invited to speak by the presenter. For the question and answer segment, you can raise your hand using the icon. You guys can also drop your questions in the chat during that session, and we will be monitoring the chat and sharing your comments and questions with the presenter throughout the meeting. So for those who are joining us for the first time, let me introduce you to AffinityPlus Credit Union, formerly known as the Barbados Workers Union Credit Union, or BWU Credit Union for short. We have been serving our members since 1983. Last April in 2024, we unveiled our bold and dynamic new brand following a 3-year rebranding journey. It was a very special project that we were happy to execute. And our mission is simple: to give our members more value, more opportunities, and a financial experience that meets their needs at every stage of their life. And we're all about adopting an A+ approach in everything that we do. Today we have over 32,000 members and over $231 million in assets. We are considered one of the largest credit unions in Barbados and one of the largest member-owned financial institutions on the island. We have 3 locations: one in Bridgetown, our Walk-Up Bricks building, in Fairchild Street, in Spitestone, the Northern Business Center, and we're also located in the South End Oistins in the Southern Plaza complex that's really close to Massey. So if you're not a member of the credit union yet, we hope that you consider joining us. We offer a wide range of financial solutions designed to help you achieve your goals, including education, savings accounts, a debit MasterCard for local purchases and international purchases, and online banking for ease of access for your funds. At Affinity Plus, we believe in youth empowerment, and the Smart Youth Leaders Club is one of the many ways we invest in young people. Our goal is to help you navigate the world of finance, develop key life skills, and unlock new opportunities for success. In the past, we hosted sessions on entrepreneurship, financial literacy, apologies for the chicken, mentorship, and career development. And this club is really run by the members, so we encourage the youth to offer ideas and suggestions of what sessions they would like to have, and we, the credit union, try to execute it. We try to find persons that are experts in certain areas and formulate the sessions for the members. We also offer youth scholarships and on internships, so you can learn more about those opportunities on our website. So we have an exciting session in store today as we seek to find out how we can navigate going from school to your career. And we're really happy to have our guest speaker, Margaret Grant. About a little bit about Margaret. She is a retired counselor at the St. Michael School. She's a dedicated educator, author, international speaker, and consultant in school counseling and personal services. With a master's degree in school counseling from the University of Southern Mississippi, she has spent over 35 years shaping student success, developing support programs, and mentoring future counselors. As a two-time president of the Barbados Association of Guidance Counselors, she has also led initiatives to support students, parents, and educators. She co-authored Entering Secondary School: A Survival Kit for Students with helpful tips for parents, and has been a featured speaker on CBC, Voice of Barbados, and international platforms. Just to add that her book is a very popular book for those that are now entering secondary school at the first term stage. So some of you may have used her book when you guys entered the entered first form. Ms. Grant is also the director and founder of Camp Transition. This program seeks to help students navigate key education key educational milestones. And the program is passionate about empowering young people. She continues to develop tools, courses, and coaching programs that support self-directed learning, career planning, and self-development. So, Ms. Grant, over to you. We're happy to have you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for that kind introduction. And I want to welcome everyone here this morning. And as you know, we'll be looking at how you can transition from school to work, from university to work. So we are going to begin. Just give me a chance. Let me share my screen.
You can see the window.
Okay, so we're looking at navigating the shift from school to career. What awaits? And this hopefully will be a guide to overcoming challenges, utilizing strategies, and seizing opportunities as we go forward. So the objectives today will be to help students navigate a pivotal transition, to explore strategies, challenges, and opportunities in preparing for higher education or the workforce. I'm going to give you an introductory quote, which I find quite interesting. And as we move along, I want you to be thinking, as broadly as possible. In the 21st century, scientific and technological innovations have become increasingly important as we face the benefits and challenges of both globalization and a knowledge-based economy. To succeed in this information-based and highly technological society, students need to develop their capabilities in STEM, which, as you know, would be science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, to levels much beyond what was considered acceptable in the past. And this is a quote from the National Science Foundation. And that's just to set the scene for what I'm going to be talking about today. Okay, so if you look at the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and this is generated in the US, they usually do statistics and they even do projections in labor. So you can go on their website and you can find any statistics about any kind of career. If you're looking at the economy, if you're looking at projections, which careers would tend to have a decline within the next 10 or 15 years, or which ones will be growing faster. So I went and I looked, and this is what I came up with. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the fastest growing occupations from 2023 to 2033 include wind turbine service technicians, and that's a 60% growth rate. Solar photovoltaic technicians, you have nurse practitioners, data scientists, and information security analysts. Also, they're projecting that home health and personal care aides would increase, software developers, restaurant cooks, and registered nurses. Now, this is not the limited group. These are just the fastest growing ones, among the fastest growing ones. So I also look at the Caribbean. Now, in our Caribbean setting, we have technology and IT services will be on the increase, healthcare and medical services, renewable energy. As you know, we are looking at that to a great extent with energy management and the solar and wind energy. We also have cybersecurity. And you would know that in recent times, we have had situations where cyber fraud was a lot of IT services were attacked. And therefore, the aim now is to get more persons qualified in cybersecurity and data management and so. And then we also have tourism and hospitality, considering that this is one of our major industries. So persons who will be into tour guiding, hotel management, and event planning would definitely not find themselves at a loss. Logistics and supply chain management as countries that are very much dependent on imports, definitely this would be important for us, imports and exports. Environmental conservation, education and training, creative industries, and let us not forget the creative industries. And then we also have financial services. So I want you to do a little exercise at this point. I want you to think about your future self. You can close your eyes or you can just, just make sure you're quiet. So think about your future self. What is your dream? What is your dream? Imagine yourself in the next 10 years. So which will be 2035. Where are you? I want to really picture yourself. Where do you think you would be at this time in the next 10 years? Who are the people in your inner circle? Who are those persons that you really connect with? Those persons that connect with you? Those persons who really have your interests at heart? Who are those people? Can you identify any of them? Are people who are in your inner circle now, would they be in your inner circle then? And then what are you doing? What kind of career are you doing? Are you now starting out? Are you now starting your own business? Are you working for someone? What position are you in career-wise? And then what's your life like? Are you married? Do you have your own home? Do you have children? Are you living alone? What's your life like? And then the basic point, are you happy? And what makes you happy? So is there anybody at this point who wants to share? I'll give anybody at this point who wants to share. Anyone? You can just raise your hand and we'll see you. Or you can unmute your mic. Okay, all right. So you might be shy, but you can put it in the chat as well. Because it is important to have a dream. It's important to start thinking of where you're going to be. Because if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And you need to know exactly how you're going to transition. So let's look a bit now at transition from school. And this could be from secondary school or it could be from university to the work. And there will be some challenges. So we're going to explore some of the challenges. Sometimes when people leave school or leave university, leave school, some persons might say, well, I don't want to go to university because that's too much studying. I'm tired studying. I've had enough with books. And therefore you might find that you actually want to get into a career. You don't have a plan, but all you know is that you have heard that certain jobs call for a degree and you are not interested in spending so much time. So you start looking for a job that does not have to have a degree. And that is a challenge. That can definitely lead to a challenge because you can end up doing something just because it is a shortcut. I don't know how many of you have ever gone through what was supposed to be a shortcut and ended up spending more time, right, than taking the long road. Okay, so let's go on to the next slide. Or some people might say, you know what? I have my degree now and I need a big fat salary. I'm not taking anything else unless it is, this big job with this big money. Is money your driving force? Even if you're at secondary school, you might be thinking, well, I have my eyes on a particular career because I have done my research. I know people who are in that particular field and they get a lot of money. So that is my driving force. That too can be a challenge. There are some people then who will say, you know what, I will just try out certain jobs. And if they work for me, well, fine. If they don't work, I'll just quit and go on to something else. Another one will come. That too will have some challenges. So let's look at some strategies now. Now, you can't get away from yourself when you're looking at career planning. You are the common denominator. You are the main person involved right here. So you have to ask yourself some questions. So we have a self-reflection exercise going on right now. Who am I? You need to know yourself. There are some people who do not take time to check out themselves. You can tell me all about Rihanna and Voice Cartel and Trump. You can tell me all about those people, but ask you, who really am I? What are my skills? What are my interests? What are the things that I'm really good at? What are my values? What are the things I hold dear? What are the things that drive my actions and my thoughts? And then, where am I heading? That's the next question. So you have these 3 questions that you need to ask yourself, and not only ask yourself, but answer them. Who am I? Where am I heading? Which career is best for me? And then the 3rd question, after you've found out which career is best for you, how am I going to get there? What are the required qualifications? What kind of training is required? Okay. So I hope you've asked yourself those questions. You can write them down, type them down, take a picture of it, but those questions must be answered. So if we look at why career planning, some people might say, you don't need all this career planning, just go and get a job. No, that fails. When we look at our birth lifespan, from birth to preschool, 0 to 3 years. Preschool usually starts at 3 years, nursery usually starts around 3 years. So you have basic education from 3 to about 18 years. And that's about 16 years that you will spend in education, basic education. Then you might go on to university and you might finish at 21. And then you might start working at 21 years old. So you will spend, and if you say 65 years is the pension age, you started working at 21 years and you retired at 65. That's 44 years that you would have spent working. If you retired at 65 and you live until you reach 100, that's 35 years. So when you look at this whole series here, you realize that the longest time is spent working. And we usually spend about 1/3 of our life working. So would you want to get up every morning, stooping, because you don't want to go to this job? You're hoping that your rain will fall or that you will get diarrhea or something so that you won't have to go to work. You don't want that. You want a job, a career where you are so passionate about it. That the thing about it is that once it is linked to your interests, you will find that you are doing it and you will not even feel that you are doing it. It will not feel like work. So one, the important thing to do is to get career counseling. Career counseling is key. Explore your career interests. What really makes you tick? What really are you passionate about? And that is very, very, very important. And I'll give you 2 examples here of online assessments that you can actually do. Don't do them now though. You can do them afterwards, and I'm sure you will be delighted with your response. So you have your free career test. This one is suitable for students in secondary school, graduate university, even adults. And as you do this, they're going to show you what your career interests are, what kind of work you could do, the type of environment that you could be in, and they even give you an idea as to which where you can go to study. Yeah, you'll have to check it out. And it only takes a few minutes to do. Okay, and then you have the Big Future Career Quiz, and this one is also this one is based on the Holland's theory, and I'll say a little bit of the Holland's theory in a minute. So the Big Future Career Quiz, there are many others, but these are the 2 that I would just ask you to pursue. For the Big Future, you're going to have to sign up, create an account, but with that one, Big Future, that one can really, as the name implies, it can really help you in terms of if you're planning to study in the US, give you information about the SATs. You can also hear about the College Board. They also offer information about different scholarships, etc. So this is like a one-stop shop. Then you have the system. When you do the College Board career test, they're going to tell you about, they're going to give you a report. Both of them will give you a report. And as you get that report, you will see which careers best suit you. And they're really looking at personality and interests. If those 2 things match and mesh, you will find that you will do better in those careers that they're suggesting. So there are 16 career clusters. And as you do the 2 tests, you will get to see that you fit into these clusters, but it's going to be on a reducing scale. So the ones that you are strongest at and show more interest in will be the ones that we mention first, right? So now you've done, let's assume that you've done the career test, you've gone and gotten your career counseling, you've done the career assessment. What are you going to do now? You have to start exploring the careers. Now, suppose you did the career assessment and the first one was oceanographer. What are you going to do? Now, you might never have heard the word oceanographer before, or you might have heard it, but never even paid any attention to it. And you know what? Sometimes the natural thing to do is to say, you know, that can't work for me, because you're looking for something that you are aware of. So, but I would like to suggest to each and every one of you, as you do the career test, step 2, career exploration. Explore all the careers, at least 10 of those careers, the 10 top ones, right? Then you can probably break down to 5, but explore them. Do not dismiss any of them, because you may not have heard of it in Barbados, but that does not mean that you cannot be the pioneer of it. That does not mean that you cannot work somewhere else. That does not mean that you cannot be that person right here in Barbados, but have your clients in Malaysia and all over the world, okay? So when you do the career exploration, this is what you're going to look at. What are the subjects you need to study at or beyond secondary school? What are the qualifications required? Is training provided? Would the training be local or would it be overseas? Do you have to get professional certification? There are some children who will say, I want to be an accountant, and they will go off to do a degree in accounting. But that does not make you an accountant, because afterwards you have to do professional certification. So the important thing is to explore, okay? So it could be nerve-wracking for some person who goes off, does a degree in accounting, assuming that when they finish that degree that they're an accountant, then to hear when they get their first job, they're a clerical assistant in an accounting firm. Yeah. So you have to recognize, or they might be a trainee. Obviously they'll be a trainee, but accounting assistant, you know, but obviously not an accountant at that time. So you need to do your research. Then, which university should I attend? College? Which polytechnics would really offer the type of training or certification that I need to be fully qualified? And then places of employment. And then you need to Google, find at least 2 people who are in that career. One could be local and one could be abroad, but find at least 2 persons who are in that career. You can connect with them, see what it is like, hear from them, hear their story, see what it's like, to see if it's really something that you want to do, that you're really interested in. And at the bottom here, I've given you some sites that you can go on. You can just Google Occupational Outlook Handbook. That has in all the careers and it will explain them all. The BLS, which we mentioned before, and the OOH, that's the Occupational Outlook Handbook, that has and is upgraded all the time. They have the Dictionary of Titles, another book information with all the careers. And then right here in Barbados, we have BARSOC, which is the Barbados Standard Occupational Classification. And you can also check that out, okay? Another thing you need to do, you've gone through, you've checked your careers, you have an idea of what they're about, attend career fairs. Every time there's a career fair, try to see if you can, maybe not every time, but go to as many as you can. Because the important thing is to be knowledgeable. And you might know one person, suppose you want to be a mortician. You might know one person who's a mortician, you speak to that person. But one mortician's experience may not be the other mortician's experience. So you need to speak to as many different people as possible, right? Read current industry publications. I know that that might not be on your top list of things to read, but it is, remember who is at the center of this whole exercise, you. And you need to get yourself as au fait as possible. I have this band here, okay. All right. And then you also reach out to professionals in the field you're interested in and conduct informational interviews. You will need to, this is where your communication skills have to come to the fore. Those of you who do not like talking to people, hello, you got to wake up, because you have to start talking to people. Conduct information interviews. You're interested in oceanography and you realize that there's an oceanographer in Trinidad. Okay, you can email that person and you can conduct an informational interview where you want to find out from them what this career is really like. What is a day in their life, in the life of an oceanographer is like. And then job shadowing. This job shadowing, I would suggest job shadowing anytime. Job shadowing is when you actually are invited, or you can ask the person to allow you to come on the site in the work environment so you can actually see for yourself and you can see what their day-to-day duties are like. Is it a crowded day? Is it a busy day? Is it a stressful environment? Do you handle stress easily? You know, these are things that you have to look at, okay? So career planning helps you to understand your interests and career paths. It helps you to set realistic goals for your future. It also helps you to explore various career paths from very early. You're able to make informed decisions about your education and educational planning, and then it prepares for a fulfilling and successful career. So career planning is critical to your success. Now let's assume that there was a young person who wants to be a chef. And this is something that you would need to do. This is part of your career exploration exercise. So you're going to create a roadmap, a career roadmap. So let's say you're in high school, you're about to finish, explore cooking. Cooking might be your hobby. You want to be a chef, so you might find yourself cooking a lot of different little meals at home and so. So you might even go to the Y and do some of their classes, okay? So you're exploring cooking as a hobby, you're doing extra classes, and you're gaining basic skills as you do all of that. There are some students who will even start out by making cupcakes or different little things like that. So they keep themselves occupied, and at the same time, they're developing their basic skills. So as you finish secondary school now, where are you going to go? You need to know that you have to go into a culinary school. Are there any culinary schools in your location? Check them out. How do you get in? What are the qualifications, right? And then your early career. Okay, good. Right? Your early career working, we might be working as a line cook in a restaurant, or it might be a small shop, but you're working as a line cook. And then you might start specializing in Caribbean or international cuisine. You're moving on up now, you are into your mid-career, you become a sous chef or a head chef. And then you start building, by now, people probably have gotten to know you. You probably have some catering services available. You might be catering to private events, private parties, etc. And you have now started to build your personal brand. Your name is out there. People know who you are. They know what your hand is like, and they start recommending you. And then you want now to, you realize that things are flourishing for you, and you might decide, you know what, I want to open a restaurant, or I want to open a cooking school where you can actually start teaching others, training others in that field. Or you might just offer your services to help other ones who are coming up. So as you do this roadmap, you can use different icons as you go along, like chef hat, cooking utensils, etc., to show what you are achieving at the end of each stage. And make sure that since it's Caribbean, it has like vibrant Caribbean themes and colors, and you know, the spelling and grammatical errors. Even though it is your own personal thing, we want you to start practicing excellence. So you're going to be looking at spelling and grammatical errors. Okay, so this is something that you can do even no matter what career comes up. You can start looking at creating a roadmap, and this is where career counseling will come in, definitely. So we're going to look a little bit at Holland's theory. John Holland, he was a psychologist who wanted to find out, why is it that there are some people who do really well in their jobs and there are others who just don't like their jobs. They just don't, job is like a stress. And he did a survey among people. He selected people who were really excelling in their jobs. And he got to realize that there's a marriage between personality and the work environment. So he has come up with 6 personality types. The realistic people, these are the ones who like to work outdoors. They might like to work with animals or materials, tools, yeah. equipment. They don't really like working with people. So they would handle machinery anytime, animals, etc. Outdoors, they like working outdoors, like moving around. And then you have the investigators. These are thinkers. They want to know, why do things work out? Why do things work the way they do? Why is this thing happening, etc. You have the creatives, who would be the artistic, and the dancers, dramatists, etc., artists. Yeah. Then you have the social. These are the people who like to help others. You know, they love to work with people. And if you look at it, you'll realize that they are directly opposite to the realistic people who don't like to work with people. But the social people, they are in the helping profession. Then you have the enterprise, and these are the business-oriented people who can make you buy what you don't want, but they're able to persuade you. They're persuaders, they're business people, business oriented. And then you have the conventional. These are the organizers. These are people who would do the same thing over and over, routine, and they don't have any problem with that. And you'll notice that they're opposite to the artistic. Artistic people don't like to do things over and over the same way. Artistic people are creative, innovative, and therefore they like fresh things. So wherever there's position here on this hexagon, the opposites are definitely opposite in nature as well. So one of the other things I would like to suggest is that you complete a personal SWOT analysis. And this is one way where you can identify your strengths and your weaknesses, identify opportunities for growth, and look at your potential, right? Things that will hinder your progress. So in terms of the SWOT analysis, you have strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So if you're looking at strengths, conducting a personal SWOT analysis, ask yourself certain questions. What are my skills? And you can, just like how we have the drawing here, you can actually do up something like that. It could be like in a table or whatever, but you can identify your strengths, your weaknesses, etc. So your strengths, just a minute, right. Ask yourself, what are my strengths, my talents, my positive traits? Whether you're in school or out of school, what kind of skills do you use in schools? What kind of talents do you use in schools? What extracurricular activities are you involved in? Those tend to give you an idea of your strengths, your skills. Are you good at math? Are you creative? Are you a team player? What are my strongest subjects? What do I excel at? What subjects or activities come easily to me? What positive feedback have I received from teachers or friends? Yeah. What achievements or accomplishments am I proud of? What makes me unique? And those are some of the things that will help you to identify your strengths. Then also added to your strengths will be your values. These are things you like to do, things that you value. You might enjoy baking or drawing, but you might value things like traveling, family time, socializing with friends, right? What are your strengths? List 3 positive qualities about yourself in school performance, work habits, your character or personality. This will show you the things that you value. Because again, values and career interests should go hand in hand. So, for example, if you value family time, you might not want to take a shift job, a job that, yeah, aligns with shift. So another strength, active in extracurricular activities. You might have supportive family and social network. Do you have strong communication skills? Are you good at public speaking? And then your weaknesses. Challenges in life. What challenges do I face at school? Public speaking, time management. Am I easily distracted? Okay. Where do I lack confidence? What do I run from doing when I'm supposed to be doing it? Okay. For example, procrastination. critical to identifying, you know, how you will move forward. And then opportunities, question for self-reflection again. What resources are available to help me grow? And these will be external factors that will help you to grow. What are the external factors in your favor? Achieve my goals. What activities can I join? Do I have any connections that can guide me? Okay. Do I have any mentorship around me? Are there new skills I can learn to benefit from my future? Right? Are there clubs, classes, or groups that align with my future interests? Remember, I mentioned just now, the person interested in being a chef, job classes at the YWCA could be a good option. What trends and careers excite me? Okay, and these are some of the examples of opportunities. Take advantage of college scholarships and grants. It may not be a full scholarship, but if it's a partial scholarship, that's fine. So you can get 5 partial scholarships, and those 5 partial scholarships will be able to fund your tuition for a year or so. So it does not necessarily have to be a full grant, a full ride scholarship. It can be a number of scholarships that you put together. College fairs, campus stores, even virtual campus stores are good, and usually universities offer them, you know, religiously every year. You can actually go online and do your own tour. And they always have somebody that you can connect with, some student advisor who you can connect with, get your questions answered. And no question is silly. Summer programs or internships. There are some universities now that offer summer college preparation classes where you can actually go and get the feel of what it's like during the summer. And then, you know, and those credits are actually counted. Volunteering, and this is a biggie. Volunteering or community involvement, and this is where it can help to build your resume or your leadership skills. All right, join it. Volunteering is very important when it comes to offering scholarships. Even getting to some universities, they want to see that you have been volunteering. They want to see that you've been involved in community work. They want to see that you're not a bookworm. Applying for scholarships and internships, networking, and taking advantage of specialized courses. So threats, again, is external. Are there any personal or family issues or responsibilities that may interfere with my goals? That's a threat. What are some potential obstacles I foresee that can block my progress? What external factors could challenge my success? Could be financial, competition in the field, or career. What is that one thing that can hold me back? At top school as a threat, yes. Rising cost of college tuition, pressure from family to choose a specific career path. And this is really a battleground where you want to do one. We have teachers in this family. We don't want anybody to break the tradition. So you must be a teacher and you're not interested in teaching. But that's where the challenge will come. Uncertainty about future job markets or economic conditions. And really and truly, that threat does not have to be realized. You can actually go based on what I've told you before. There are actually places that you can go to alleviate that threat. Okay, overcommitting to too many activities. You know, suddenly when you're good at certain things, people call on you all the time and you don't know how to say no. It can lead to burnout, and that can be a threat as well. Yeah. So the benefit of SWOT analysis, you can identify your strengths. It can help you take advantage of your opportunities. And as you deal with your weaknesses, you can see how they can be potential threats. Yeah. School and work are like so similar. There's a structured schedule with clear expectations. In school, you have work towards getting 100 every time. Then at work, same thing happens. The demand for self-discipline, initiative, in a professional environment, yeah. If you're in university, same thing. If you're in a job, same thing. Both of them value punctuality, problem-solving skills, teamwork, professionalism. Deadlines are strict and accountability is key. So there are some similarities in the school as well as in the work setting. Adaptability, things will change. So sometimes you have to be flexible and you must be able to learn, like even think on your feet. Some differences, however, is a whole new world. When you're entering the world of work, it's a completely different avenue because you get to see things from, first of all, you'll be treated as an adult. Like it or not, you'll be treated as an adult. So it's a whole new world. And you might have had faith in adults before. Now, in real time, would you be disappointed? Would you be shocked at some of the things you hear or see? Who knows? And then you have structured education environment to a dynamic work setting. So one day you might have to go in, you might be doing one thing, but then you might be asked to do something else. Or you might have one job, but you have several duties. One title, but you have several duties. Managing finances, you're getting paid now, and you might feel, hey, I could go and buy lunch every day. No. To work wherever possible and save some money. To relate to persons at different levels, okay? So in some cases, you can run from management. At school, you might have run from your principal. You might avoid your principal, but when you go into the workplace, you might have to meet top management at some point in time. So you have to know how to build professional relationships, yeah? And then the fear of taking the plunge, it might lead, you know, when you're a teenager, you tend to take some, as you get older, you might realize, hey, you might start calculating the risk before you actually take the plunge. And then ignorance of the current job trends and emerging careers. And again, that does not have to be an issue. You can actually work on it. Training, you might be the lowest paid, you might be the youngest, you might be least experienced. Sometimes some people treat you like that, as if you know, that's your profile, that's your bubble, staying there. And you might find that as you get into the world of work, you get to recognize that there are a lot of things that you did not anticipate. So the challenge is lack of work experience. Many jobs require experience, but where are you going to get the experience if nobody ever employs you? And that is why we recommended the job shadowing, because when you do that job shadowing or you do an internship, that can be considered experience. You were on the job. You were actually maybe doing some of the things that, you know, the person that was shadowing, your shadow, they might have been giving you some different little tasks to do, and you might have done them well. Sometimes out of job shadowing exercises, some students have actually got jobs. So, and volunteering as well. So higher employer expectations, they look for candidates who can contribute immediately with minimal training. So be a quick learner. And this is where, you know, sometimes some people tend to hide away, run away from challenges, but it's in the challenging moment that you get to learn, that you get to grow. And that is why having a growth mindset is so important, where you are not afraid to fail. Because if you fail, then you have learned something and you will get to realize that that was part of your way to success. And then balancing independence and responsibility. Okay, you have responsibility now, you're working, and how do you balance the independence and responsibility? So you have your budget. How much money are you going to save? How much money are you going to spend? Every brand name shoe that you see come up, are you going to buy one? Would you want to spend your first salary in the most upgraded phone? These are things that you have to start thinking about. You buy the phone and then you forget that, hey, I don't have any bus, where you have to catch your bus. So you have to really think about having work-life balance. You look at your personal responsibilities, you look at your budget, you look at your expenses, and look to see how you can manage that. Then the job market competition, obviously, limited positions, but more people than positions. And this is where the manager or the employer is going to make sure that they want the best person. So coming with just CXCs or a degree is not going to cut it. You must have some extra things on you. The volunteering, the job shadowing. You know, when you actually step out of the box and you did something to show that you have initiative, that is what's going to speak for you in a great way. So some of the challenges, well, I just mentioned the strategies, I just mentioned some: developing a growth mindset, networking and mentorship, connect with professionals where they can open job opportunities for you and provide guidance. You don't have to sit down at home and mope and grope. Get up, do some cold calling, call or just walk in and email, ask a question, set up an interview, a time to really get some kind of mentorship, some kind of guidance, right? Do not sit back in darkness. Then gaining the relevant skills through internships and volunteering. This is really critical. Effectively, you see, when you volunteer, and if you can tell yourself, there are some people who would not volunteer because they're not getting paid. But when you can volunteer and not look for anything in return monetarily, that speaks highly of you. So you don't have to go for a whole month. You can go for 3 days a week. You might learn what you wanted in 3.5 days. You might be able to devote 2 hours to the workplace. But please get into some form of volunteering, some form of give back. I know UB has the give back program, but even outside of that, because that has a motive behind it, even outside of that, and you can do volunteering on your own, that will be commendable. And then time management and organization. You know, managing deadlines is important. And if you find that you want to be productive, you have to have deadlines in front of you. You have to be able to work towards them. And as I mentioned before, creating that career roadmap, where you can show short-term, long-term, and short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals, so that as you achieve them, you can actually tick them off, put a star, or reward yourself somehow. But having that career roadmap is an excellent strategy to have. And then your resume writing. Most jobs want a resume, and some people go on the internet and they just download a template, and then the print is so fine or it is not appealing. Please, tailor it according to the needs of the job. And at the same time, if there are specific job roles, make sure you highlight those relevant skills or high up. Yeah. Remember, we are told that when it comes to interviews, when those persons take up the letter or your resume, 6 seconds, 6 seconds, even applying to universities. And so if they don't see it on the first page or it is not jumping out at them, they have so many applicants, they're not going to spend enough time. So please make sure that it looks presentable and that you present it is your marketing tool. So make sure when you put it out there, if you again research the company, practice responsive, you can have like some dummy interviews, get someone to interview you, the interviewee, they're the what you're saying. Did you say too much? Did you say well at the end, beginning of every sentence? Did you say right at the end of every response? Into consideration. LinkedIn is also a good place that you can actually start to put your information. And they have basic and they have They have the free one, they have the premium one. Obviously, premium one is the one you have to pay for, but they can actually link you up to persons who are interested in what they see on your profile. So some persons will actually contact you. So opportunities to explore further education and certifications, you know, don't stay at the bottom level. Internships and apprenticeship, hands-on experiences, nothing can replace that. Entrepreneurship and side hustles. We have a lot of remote jobs now. You can do remote jobs. A lot of them are online, but you have to make sure they're reputable. And there's some companies that are reputable that you can actually link up with. And this is where you are home, right here in Barbados, but you're working and getting some passive income from overseas. Online learning and skill development, continuous learning. This is critical. You have Coursera. Coursera offers free courses. Allison, Udemy, you know, name it, it is there. Khan Academy, you can just go on these and you know, just get more information. It could be a certain, and even locally, you might have the Samuel Jackman Prescott Institute of Technology. They might offer some certificate courses, it might just be 1 year. Check it out. Barbados Community College, you have the Career Institute, Development Institute, BIMA. Places are there. Some are free, some are not free, but some might offer you very low basic prices. Okay. So essential skills for success, communication and interpersonal skills. You have to be able to work with others. So teamwork is going to be important. And wherever possible, whether you're in school, university, or on the job, see how you can foster teamwork. See how you can enhance your team spirit, right? Problem solving and critical thinking. Now, these are not just for the scientists, it's for everybody. Every day you have to problem solve. And we want you to use your critical thinking skills. Employers value people who can analyze situations, who don't have to wait until something happens and then try to repair it. But if you're pragmatic, if you are proactive, if you can see things before they happen, this is what will help you greatly as a team player. Emotional intelligence, being able to understand and manage your own emotions and to understand the emotions of others and to be empathetic. Right? This is all critical, and it helps to allay stress, your stress, as well as the stress of others. And then getting digitally and technically literate, get familiar with digital tools, emerging technologies as they come on board. Do not sit back and say, this is not for me. You have to step up to the times. So when we look at transition from secondary school to tertiary education now, there are some challenges as well. Adjusting to greater independence. You're leaving secondary school and you're going on tertiary education. Some children tend to think, well, I have just completed and I did 8 CXCs, got them all back at one sitting, and therefore I can do anything. Not necessarily. You might find that doing 8 subjects at CSET and 3 subjects at KIT, totally different ball game, because as you go higher in the system of qualifications, the work is going to be more intense. It's going to call for more self-directed learning, no more spoon feeding, so to speak. So you have to develop those self-directed skills, and you'll be learning very much on your own. And this is where bonding with other persons can come into play. Teaming up with other persons can come into play. So even in a case like this, you still need your team spirit to be pretty active and healthy. Managing time effectively between academics, your social life, and your personal. So like work-life balance is important. Higher academic expectations and increased workload. There's a given. Okay, so no matter how much AI you use, you still have to do some work. And it's important to have your study plans so that you can manage your time wisely. You can slot up enough time when it's classroom work, when it's study time. If you're in any extracurricular activities, you still have a social life. So all of these should be able to work in synergy. Financial constraints, you might find tuition fees, living expenses might be a challenge. Even being able to buy certain things while you're studying, that might be a challenge. But again, if you have a hobby that you can turn into, can monetize, that would also be of benefit to you. And then navigate a new social and academic environment. It's going to be different. You'll probably meet people from different countries, people from different schools, people with different cultures, people with different attitudes, personalities. Some will like you, some won't, but you know what? You have to get through it. So developing strong study habits and self-discipline will be important. Seeking academic support, and usually at universities and colleges, even in secondary schools, there is academic support. You need to always check out where the counseling support services are and find out, get some help. There's other students who might be peer tutors who will be able to work with you, or mentors, peer mentors, they'll be able to work with you. You do not need to suffer. You do not need to fail. You do not need to be a poor student. Please reach out and use these strategies. And then, as I mentioned before, build a strong support network with your peers, because you rely on each other, and do like study groups wherever possible. They work. Explore scholarships. There are a lot of scholarships out there, but people do not know. But sometimes as you're studying too, you don't have the time to really look for scholarships, because your time is more dedicated to getting your assignments in. And so, but if you can, when you have some downtime, if you can say, okay, I'm going to spend an hour looking at some scholarships, look at the local ones, look at the ones in the Caribbean. There's a CARICOM scholarship. Check it out. Who can get a CARICOM scholarship? You know, there are universities within the Caribbean. What kind of scholarships do they offer? Who do they want at their universities? Do they have courses that I can do that can prepare me for my career? Look at the University of the West Indies. What are they offering right here in Barbados? What are they offering in Trinidad? What are they offering in Jamaica? How can I really be prepared if I go there to study? So explore scholarships. Might need to do some part-time jobs. Only some universities offer jobs on campus, but apart from that, you also have jobs that you can get on the outside. Any financial aid that you can get. There are sometimes there's some corporate companies that would offer financial aid through grants, and this is where you can actually check it out as well. And last but not least, engage in extracurricular activities for personal and professional growth. So gaining real world experience through internship and student organizations. Sometimes some children might go on the guild, or you might be in a club at the university and you might be on the committee. Those are ways in which you can actually gain help and strengthen you personally. Leveraging career counseling. So when you get the career counseling, please take advantage of the career counseling and align it with the professional development programs, any professional development programs that exist, and you will find that you will be able to grow as a person. Explore leadership opportunities within the student organizations. Don't run from them. Be on some committee. Learn. You might say you're shy, but you know, the more you start, the earlier you start, the better for you. Because at some point in time, you might be leading a company, and you have to learn how to deal with people, how to deal with situations as you speak. Networking events, you might have college fairs, etc. All those things, take advantage of them. And self-care. Self-care is critical. There are too many cases of depression and anxiety, stress. Self-care is important. And when I talk about self-care, I'm not talking about just skin care or beauty care. It's about what you're eating, what's your diet like, routine like, what's your exercise routine like? Do you have any downtime? Does your brain ever turn off? So these are things that you might be lying down, but your brain is still in overdrive. So you need to ask yourself certain questions, be aware of certain things, so that you will not push yourself into a situation where you burn out. To repeat that, goal setting is important. Continuous learning is important. Networking, volunteering, putting yourself out there, making yourself known, and approach otherwise you'll find that so whatever you want to be, you can be. Step up. Actually pose any questions to me.
I don't see any questions yet, Ms. Grant. I guess you were very detailed. I have a few. Oh, sure. Okay, go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, so earlier you mentioned about not leaving the jobs. They often, because of people this and then go job over there. So I was wondering if men never be known that men is the best thing. Okay, men would be known it's beneficial to move from one job to the next.
Oh, okay. First of all, why are you leaving? I think that's critical. Why am I leaving this job? Am I moving because it's a higher position? Is it offering more security? Is the environment that I'm in right now stressful and impacting on my health? And I need to make a in terms of the environment. Is the environment really, do you feel as though you're being used? Do you think that you are another because they might be offering better financial was better off where he was with little less money. So you still need to do your research. Okay, so one, it could be you ask yourself some questions. Am I really comfortable here? Is this really my passion? Okay, you might get a job, but it may not be your passion. And then you might see an avenue where you can actually be prepared for what you really want to do. And obviously, you have to ask yourself some questions. If I move from here, am I moving from something that is sure to something that is unsure? So a number of questions have to be asked and answers given before you make that move, right? But I would always say, if you look at how you're going to survive, if you leave one job and you don't know what you're going to do next, because the conditions that you leave as well, that's important, because you can say, I don't get along with my boss. My boss don't like me. I done with this. And in a heartbeat, you gone. But you did not think it through. But wait, tomorrow morning when I get up, I don't have anything. The little money you had saved, that will run out eventually. So when that runs out, then what? So you don't have to start looking. So one, the reason is important. If you and your boss don't get along, hey, get some counseling. It could be something you're doing. Have a one-on-one. Is it something that I'm not doing correctly? Is it something that, is it something about me, my attitude? So ask yourself some questions before you even go out to anybody else. And again, make sure you know about the job that is coming. Do your assessment, really do your explore, ask questions, even visit the place if you can and see what the environment there is like, and then you can make that calculated jump.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Andre, that answers your question, or you have like a
Yeah,
follow-up?
yeah. But I have a different, well, not a follow-up, but like a
Okay.
different topic. Maybe. I know you mentioned about shadowing, but you know, in Barbados, is it like done here often, or?
It is possible, yes, yes. I have arranged some of those for my students before. And the important thing is to, if you know exactly what you want to do, and you can just connect with the person, let them know that you're not looking for any money. You're coming to just shadow. You just want to see how they work in their environment. And because you're interested in getting into that field and you just want to spend a few hours, you don't have to be there a whole day. Find out from them how it would be convenient. Some people have offices. Some people might be, suppose it was an architect. He might be working in a small room that can only accommodate himself, but find somebody else who might be able to accommodate you. All right. But the important thing though is to do your research, ask questions. Who are these people? That's why before I had mentioned that you could, when you're doing the career exploration, find at least 2 people who are in that field, whether local or overseas, but find at least 2 people so that you can be able then to do that job shadowing. And once you let them know that you're coming just to observe, you're not looking for any money, it's not a paid thing, you want to learn, you want to see them in their work environment because you really want to see if it's the right match for you. And they might be able to, like, engineer or so, take you on different sites and everything. And I know of years ago there was a young lady who went into civil engineering, studied it and everything. And when she got the job, she realized then, I don't know, how this like bulb moment where she realized that she was the only female on the job. And the men were calling at her as she goes out to the various places, and she could not take it. She gave it up. She went and studied something else. So before you go and study something because it sounds cute, or you hear that they get a lot of money, research. Was the environment like? And that's what Holland is telling us. It must be a marriage between our personality and the workplace. I see that Zana hand is up.
Yes, please. Okay, go ahead, Azana.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hi.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, how
Nice
are
to see you
you?
again. I'm
Same
good.
here.
But I wanted just to ask a question. I know you said personality is a big part of it, but I also wanted to ask how important is um the lifestyle that you want for yourself? Because I do understand that some people may not necessarily um they're not really book people. They're like doers, like you say, like they like working with machinery. So that'd be more like a practical thing, like driving a truck or going into construction, contract work, and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to know how important would how you want your life to look like be as well. So like you would have to be, is it something that you would just have to be realistic about? Like, well, since I don't want to go and get like tertiary education, how realistic would be like being able to, let's say, own like a two-story house be? Or um if I really want to travel, how realistic would be a construction job or even like a job in HR and stuff like that. So how important would keeping your lifestyle in mind be?
Mm-hmm. The interest, this is where the interest comes up. So when you do the interest inventory, all of that will go in and that will be calculated so that the report that comes out will actually incorporate your interests. So you will probably not find a clash. For example, if you like traveling and you have to be honest as you do the career interests because they're only calculating it based on your response. So you have to be really, really, really honest, okay? Because you will hardly find, if it so happens that something comes up and it is kind of like going against your grain, well, and it's something you're still passionate about, well, then this is where now your time management skills will have to come into place, or you will have to actually like slot it in, right? So you want to be a cosmetologist, but you like traveling. You have your, so therefore you will block out, this is where time management comes in, you will block out certain times. And sometimes as entrepreneurs sometimes forget to take vacation, because by they're working for themselves, is like, yes, I have to, they don't even study that they need to cut off. Some of them don't even have like daily working hours, they just work. Yeah, but you need that day off for yourself. And when you block out that time, that is it. So if you find that I'm just using this example, if you find that you like traveling, but your job does not really accommodate that, well, then you will have to block out a period where you say, well, vacation time is when I will travel. Or instead of traveling every year, I'll travel every other year. But it's something that you will mentally have to sit down and do so that you block it in, so that your interests are still being maintained, or hobbies or whatever, right? So it will call for that kind of calculated planning so that you can still gain the best of both worlds. Does that help, Azana?
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any other questions from the floor? I have a few. Okay. I guess while we wait, Ms. Grant, well, one question I have is, how can young professionals navigate situations where their dream job might not be immediately accessible or available? So, I mean, me, for example, I mean, leaving UE, I had this plan, and the plan, I guess, detoured, and I have no regrets with the detour. But everybody, yeah, I have friends, and I hear other situations of persons having these big plans, but it's not always it doesn't always come into fruition. So, and as young people, we have these big dreams, and then as soon as we get older, they start to die.
Yeah, that could be a big letdown, because when you leave university, you feel so accomplished, right? And you're ready to take on the world. And then you get out there and you get to realize, hey, it's like as if nobody wants me. You're playing, sometimes you don't get answer. And when you get answer, it's negative. So there's that big drop. But this is where I would think that planning is important. This is where consultation with the career counselors at university would have come in handy. This is where career counseling would have to be an ongoing event in your life, and not something that you do at the end of the journey. So imagine you have, and the thing is, you must be willing to start at the bottom. That's another thing. Some students from UE come out, well, not only UE, but university students, they graduate and they've done a degree in management, and they want to go to be a manager. Are annoyed because they have to start at the bottom as a clerical officer. So the thing about it is expectations. Expectations are critical. Expectations must be real. They must be realistic. So you might decide that you have come to UE and you realize that it's not working as you wanted to, right? The job is not there. That dream job is not there. You must be willing to do something else. So let's say that you did psychology. You're looking at becoming a psychologist or going into teaching. But then when you come out, you realize, hey, opportunities are not there. So what are you going to do? Now, one of the things you can do is you can continue learning, because continuous education is important. So as I mentioned before, the Coursera courses, you can, to keep your brain occupied and to keep yourself, in tune. So you can do some Coursera courses, or you can volunteer. You can volunteer. Now, you may not be, you might want to teach and there are no jobs. So you can volunteer to teach, to assist. Yeah. And this is where that is helping to boost your resume. So you're still getting, so that when an opportunity comes up in that particular area, you can say, I've had experience, and that experience has been recent. Sometimes you have situations where you might have students who, and I think people just have to be creative as well. For example, you might have a set of accounting students who just graduated, they can't get any work. How about, rather than sit down home and moping or having to go and do something different from what you wanted to do, how about checking out some small businesses, some small business owners who may not have had time to look at their accounts. They're working, yes, but they don't have time to look at their accounts. They don't even know if they are profiting. But this is where now a group of students, graduates in accounting, can create a network where they supply that service to a group of small entrepreneurs, right? They're helping themselves and they're also helping the industry. So innovation is important. You have to start thinking on your feet, what next? So this is where the career counseling would have been critical before you graduate.
Okay, Ms. Grant, thank you. And just to add, so yeah, you mentioned how important planning is. So I want to know, what are the common mistakes young professionals have usually when they start their careers? There's nothing wrong with having big expectations, but they still need to have realistic expectations. So what are some common mistakes young professionals have?
Okay, sometimes it could be out of ignorance, lack of knowledge of the particular job setting, etc. So we always recommend that if you're going into a new job, even before you go for the interview, read up on the company. Have an idea of the history of the company. How did it get to this point? What are the services really? Because not every service a company provides is on the front burner. Okay, who makes up this company? Is it run by a board? Is it, get some basic information about the company. What's the culture of the company? Because let's face it, you might have a company where they might not agree with, they might have certain standards as it relates to boys and their hair. So now that boys can plait their hair and go to school, you might have some companies that do not accept that. So imagine you have not done your research. You turn up for the interview with your hair plait. Company, that's not their standard. So before you are heard, you're dismissed. So that's one, ignorance of the company and their culture, thinking that you know it all because you have a degree or because you're qualified in the area. And also sometimes if some children are working, say, in their family's business, the family has a business and they are employed, you might find that they do not give of their best because there's my family's business. They do not know how to separate family from the business. Also, sometimes you might find situations where persons who have been working in a particular company before for years, maybe, some of the mistakes that a young professional might make is that they go in and they copy all the negative things because the negative things seem so easy. So they might see some persons slacking. They might see some persons watching YouTube videos while they're working. They might see persons going out and taking an hour and a half instead of the hour's lunch. And these are things that some can actually accept and practice. Also, you might find that the company might have a kind of like casual atmosphere. But a casual atmosphere, a warm atmosphere does not mean sloppy work. So some children, some young people might get carried away with that. We say, man, these people cool, man. Not realizing that coolness is for your comfort, but not for your lackadaisical approach to work. So dress is important. Dress is important, understanding the culture of the company, and even having your own goals. Some young people might be, some persons who are young, young people are usually very enthusiastic when they get into the workplace, very enthusiastic. And you might find that people start dumping all sorts of things on you. You're willing to work, you're young, and every time they want something done, you're the only name that they can find. You're the only person that they can find. A time comes when you have to say no. Well, politely. Let them know that, be assertive and let them know that that can't work.
Thank you, Ms. Grant. Yeah, you can go ahead, Azana.
Oh, okay. I just thought of something that I have went through recently. And I wanted to know how would be the best way to approach. So I find that when I was hired for when I was hired for a job, I went on to the job and everything was fine. I went through training and everything. But then when I was noticing problems with the system, things that didn't really make much sense, that can make everybody's lives easier and they could be, if they were to be changed to upgraded to a more efficient system, or even to a system that would go along with because the issue was the system was implemented when the company was smaller. But now that it's much larger, it's not as efficient, right? So I have made, as you say, when you're young and you now join, you're like enthusiastic and everything. So I brought this up. I wrote up this whole thing of how we can make the system more efficient, how we can implement something to make it better, and brought it to I brought it to management, and I was like, hey, so I find that we're having a lot of problems and delays because of this. So I just wrote up this thing so that we can implement to make the system better and everything, right? And then I ended up getting into a lot, and she was like, "Oh, that sounds great and everything. Thank you for the forward thinking and everything." So I thought I had done a good thing, but then later on, I was starting to be, as you say, like targeted, like in the workplace um other employees that were like above me and the ones that were on my level as well, right? Because apparently the changes that I had offered, she had apparently implemented some, giving other people more work on their plate than they had before. So I want to know, how would you handle that as a young person going into the workplace? You're wanting to bring innovation, wanting to make the company better, the thing that you're hired to do, and then you get such a backlash from implementing it. What would you say to do in that situation?
Did they indicate that they would welcome such?
Yes, that's what you're hired to do. Well, for the position specifically, I was brought on as an uh, assistant supervisor, and one of the things that I was brought on to do is to better the system, help
Okay.
assist management in improvements and stuff like that. So I was wondering but isn't this what y'all wanted? So I didn't know. And it's something I'm dealing with now. So I would like some insight into that, because especially I also want to bring it up because these are the realities of going into where, especially as a young person, when you're brought on wanting to bring new innovative ideas and stuff like that to get pushback from the older crowd is probably likely. So what's something that you would recommend?
Usually though, when it comes to having people who are creative, they're not always respected, because sometimes you might be passionate about something, an idea, and because you're so passionate about it, you've thought it through, you can see how it would work. It depends now how you put it over, right? But sometimes if people don't want to go, sometimes people don't want to give you your due as well. Sometimes that's it. Because really and truly in the workplace is like a jungle. Just like how we say school is like a jungle, the workplace is like a jungle. You're either predator or prey. You'll find people who will like you and some who will use you. All right. But if that is your role, if that is the role that you were brought on for, they will have to be able to give you feedback that will show you whether it can work or whether it can't work. And it will have to be, and done in a way that is not put down. So that if you have offered a suggestion, watch how you offer it. Watch the attitude you have, are you listening to what they're saying? Because you like it or because you initiate it, you want to initiate it, does not mean that they're going to see it just like how you see it. So how you sell it is going to be very, very, very important. And then not only that, but having everything identified, itemized, so that it's like something that you can take up and run with, so that they don't have any like blurred areas in it. So ask yourself, were there any blurred areas in it? Was everything really clear? Did I really sell it to the best? Yeah. Did it get the right, did I sell it the right way? What was my attitude like? Was I coming over as if I were condescending, or if I know it all? All of these are things, because remember, if you are, even though you were brought on for that, some persons in management might still think, how come she thought of that and I didn't think of it? So some people might still feel sidelined, even though they didn't think of it or they didn't have the capacity to think of it, right? So you get a lot of personalities coming in to play. And sometimes that can really get in the way of progress. But if you feel as though the pushback was not substantiated, I don't know how possible it would be, but it would be good to get a conversation going so that they can actually show you where it can be improved. Not dumped, but improved. Okay? So this is where now you are being vulnerable. You're vulnerable, putting yourself out there so vulnerable that they're able then to feed into you. Yeah? At the same time, you are throwing it at them and trying to see where they are at. You know where you're at. But if you have knocked it, show me how it can be improved. Okay? And this is where the collaboration will come into play, right? And maybe because you have to be thinking about how this other person is thinking. Are they thinking, this is too good for her? I don't want her to get this, to be lauded with this. Because you get a lot of selfishness in the workplace. Sometimes some people they don't like you. And I'm not saying this is your situation, but sometimes that's it. they just have that personality clash, and they might think, you know, you're too good at everything, and they gotta find something to put you down at, right? So sometimes nothing might be wrong with it, but it's like, I gotta find something regardless. Okay, so to me, a conversation would be useful, I think, to hear from your supervisor. How can we improve this? Where does it need tweaking? And if she says, or he says, well, girl, that is up to you, the world is your oyster.
So being open to criticism with some discernment is key here.
Cammy, I didn't hear that.
Being open to criticism with some discernment is key here.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks for that question, Susanna. It was a very interesting question. Any other questions from anybody else? Okay.
Delonde has her hand up.
Hey, you can go ahead.
Hello, my first question would be, do careers have to complement each other? Like, for example, like if I am doing, say, like hairdressing and nails, because they could do in like the same environment, or what if I had two different career interests, but I can't find time to do both of them, but I don't want to get rid of one yet? That's the question, basically.
Are they so separate and distinct? I mean, like, are they separate and distinct, or can they be like merged? For example, like hair and nails. You can do hair some days and nails another day. Suppose you say, well, all my hair appointments will be on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, Mondays and Wednesdays, nails. So you have two, but you're finding time for both. So you have separated different days for each one. So if you say, well, or you say Monday and Tuesday nails, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday here. So that people will know, hey, don't call me for a nail appointment on Thursday, Monday and Tuesday. So you will still be able to have your clientele. And when you're doing here, you're doing here. When you're doing nails, you're doing nails. So the two like that can work. I don't know if those are too close to you. Do you have another tool that you can give me that might be diametrically opposed?
Another tool would be baking, because I like baking and I also like working in hotels. So I think those are the two ones that separate.
Yeah. So working in the hotel, if you had a job working in a hotel, you might have to do shift work. But I think hotel workers usually get a day off, right? So that day off could be when you do your baking on your, and you still making your little extra money. So they don't have to clash, they can be complemented. But you will have to set aside time. Because if you work in a hotel, you're gonna be on your feet a lot. By the time you get home, you're gonna be tired. So it may not be in your best interest to do any baking then, because you have to prepare for work the next day. And you want that when you're going to work that you're fresh. So if you have weekends off or a day off, that is when you can do your, so if you have like every Wednesday off, well then you can have part of that day as your baking day, or weekends or whatever, but it will have to be, or if you work shift, you might still have a little time to put in a little baking in the morning and still get some rest. But try not to burn the candle at both ends. Make sure that you have ample time for each one. So if you are working in a hotel, Your bacon does not have to go begging. As I said, if you get a day off, you can use it then or weekend, right?
Okay. The second question is, when it comes to internships, do you have to like wait till internships are like available, or you could actually ask the workplace if they would like to intern?
You can actually take the initiative, because you can actually take the initiative. If you are, say, at SJPI or the National Vocational Training Board or BCC, some of their courses have internship opportunities, and that is at a particular time in the year. So you know that those internships will happen. But if you on your own, you can select different companies, select maybe 4, 5, 6 companies, and you can put them in order of rank in terms of your interest or access to them and so, and you can just contact them, right? Contact them, let them know your interest, you're interested in this particular field, and you would like to do, and you would like an opportunity to intern at their company. Yeah, of course you would let them know why you like the company, you know, say something about the company that you know. For example, if you like AffinityPlus and you like their purple color and their green, their vibrant colors, and you like the services that they offer, and you want to intern there, it will be first of all best in your interest to find out about the company. Yeah, so Google IG. Most companies have IG page or Facebook or whatever. Google. Find out as much as possible about the company. Go in the company. See what it feels like. What's the customer service like, right? And then you can actually make an appointment to see the human resource manager, operations manager. You will need to probably ask a question, call and ask a question as to who will be the best person for you to talk with. Maybe it might be the human resource manager, and speak to that person and let them know what your interest is. And then just let them know you don't, it could be for 1 week, 2 weeks, or it could be for half days for 2 weeks, you know. You put a time limit to it. And who knows, you might be accepted to go. Let them know what your qualifications are and everything. Obviously, you will need to send your CV and, you know, have it updated, and, you know, make sure there are no spelling errors in it, etc., etc. And who knows, you might get to go for the internship. And then, you know what, you might be so efficient that they like your spirit, they like your work ethic. And somebody might be going on vacation just while you're there, or somebody might get ill, God forbid, and they might say, you know what, this person, let's get Delonde in here, because she knows the ropes. She showed a lot of enthusiasm. We like her work ethic. She blended well with the company's culture. And, you know, so those are, use internship as a foot inside the company. Don't just say it as an internship, but I just going for internship. No, that's your foot in there. And your foot can take root given the right soil. Hope that helps. So make a list of the companies that offer the service or the products that you're interested in, and get their contact information, read up about them, and make contact. Let them know your interests. Let them know you're just coming to observe, and, you know, wherever you can get a little training, exposure, that will be welcome as well. But you use it as a volunteer, is a volunteer opportunity. Because some of them might say, oh, we did not budget for that. And that will be their answer to dismiss you. But you just let them know, oh, I'm not looking for any money. It will be unpaid internship. And therefore, it's just to get the experience and the exposure and the knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for that question. Okay, yeah, we're soon approaching our 1 o'clock ending point. So Miss Grant, my last question is how or like what indicators, like I guess, yeah, what are the indicators that someone needs to know to decide whether they should continue with their education or enter right into the workforce? I know financial situations may be like the major indicator, supporting a family or, earning some money for themselves, but or some of the other indicators that somebody should either enter the workforce or continue with education.
I think that one of the things that should spark anyone to enter the workforce will be to get experience. Well, that's one, to get experience. And not only that, to move up, because where you start is not where you're going to end, or it should not be where you're going to end. You should have your eyes on something bigger. Some people, when they go for interviews and they're asked certain questions, some will say, well, tell the interviewer, I'm looking at your job someday, to be in your position someday. So you should really have like a roadmap so that you can make a decision as to what you're going to do, how you're going to start, where you're going to start, and recognizing that as you get older, you should be getting wiser. That you did not intend to be your step. You're going to build on it. Because if you workforce, because every year you have students coming out of school with certificates at all the institutions. But what were you doing for the last 3 years? If you can say, well, upskilling myself, I did some courses on I did some volunteer work, those are you are now entering the, but who can take away experience from you? Who can take away skills from you? Okay, so I think that the person, you have to be proactive, drive you to start. That should drive you to get going. A launching pad.
Okay, thank you, Miss Grant. Thank you for that. And I guess that's a good place to end. I want to thank you so much, Miss Grant, for your insightful and thought-provoking presentation. We truly appreciate your time and the effort you put into sharing your knowledge with us today. I well, you guys can reach out to Miss Grant. Miss Grant, you can share your email in the chat because Miss Grant is a counselor, so she helps with planning for your next steps. If you want to do, if you're going into university, undergrad, doing a master's, or going straight into the workforce, Miss Grant is a good contact person to have to advise you. Me personally, 25, and I use counselors, young counselors, to help me navigate my young professional journey. And I want to say a big thank you for you, the participants, for coming and attending this presentation, and couldn't be done without your valuable and supportful attendance. We hope that you found it helpful. And if you would like to be added to our Smart Youth Leaders Club chat, you can send me a message. I'm going to drop my number into the chat. And if you have any specific topics that you would like to see covered in the upcoming year, you can also send me a direct message so that we can see what we can do and plan out some sessions for you. And you can also reach out to us at marketing@AffinityPlusBB.com. So we look forward to seeing you at our next meeting, and thank you for your continued support, and all the best for your journeys ahead. Have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.